Good, I can read it from there. All right, ladies and gentlemen. If I had a gavel, I would gavel it, but I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the library board meeting, Monday, December 19th, 2022, 4:15 a.m. I'd like PM. See?
You want to take whatever.
Which is also a good point. I also want to see, for those of you who read the agenda, who found a mistake in the first line. So first, we will call the meeting to order. And then second line, then we will do a determination of quorum. Please signify that you are here. Marvin?
Oh, he was not feeling well. He was going to try and make it virtually. And I told him if he was not well to not worry about it.
Not present. Okay, Ellen. Terry.
I'm here and I got my packet.
Thank you, Terry.
Yes, here and have the packet.
Anne?
I'm here and I have the packet.
Ruth?
Yes, and yes.
And John?
Here.
And I am also here and I have my packet. So we have a quorum. The consent agenda, starting with line A, that we want to approve the minutes of the November 22nd board meeting, not the September 19th board meeting. So other corrections to the agenda?
We missed it. We were going to add the that.
Yes. We were also going to amend the bill list to include debt payment. Are you going to say a sentence?
Yes, so that's the memo you have right there. Yep. Yep.
So this was to be, we do need to pay our debts before the end of the year.
So yes, included in the consent agenda. We did not get invoices yet for these. So we just caught it at the last minute, but they do need to be paid this year.
So do you want us to amend the
consent agenda to include that? Yep.
All right, so I move that we amended the consent agenda bill list under item D to include the payment of the debt service on our 2018 and 2019 bonds that are due and payable on January 15, 2023.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
To be paid before December 31st.
Okay.
Of this
to be paid by. Okay, I was just doing that. So,
yep.
Oh, the bond payments will need to be completed by December 31, 2022.
Second.
Thank you.
Do we vote on that now or as part of the consent agenda?
That for the amendment.
We're going to vote on the amendment. Those in favor, I'll call for a roll. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. All right. Were you going to say a sentence about the solar grant?
Yes, so the EC grant is the one with the city of South Bend, and that will cover about 30% of our solar project out at TUT. So that is a reimbursement grant. So you see the payment on the bill list for the sort of down payment on that project, and then the whoever the city is working with, IFF, will reimburse us for that amount.
Does Indiana have a net metering arrangement, or do they get out of that?
I think they've had it and then they dropped it.
It's so insignificant that the goal is to get all of your energy supplied by solar and not to go over, because whatever you do give back to the grid, the payment on it is
right. I didn't know if they had changed.
As of today. We'll see what happens.
With those amendments and comments, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
The second.
Any other questions, additions, corrections? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also. So that is passed. Next, we will move to the director's report. Stephanie?
So I know we have a long agenda today and it's a short week, so I'll make it really quick and just point out that really the question that Anne and Christine had on the way over here is about the water infiltration problems here. First fix did not work on those windows. Next step is to take one of the windows out, try a different repair, put the window back in, test it again where they spray high speed, like almost like your power washer at the window for a period of time. See if the water gets through. They try to blow smoke through it, see if the fix works. If that fix works, then they'll proceed with that fix across all of the problem areas. And then once everything is properly fixed, they'll come in and do the repairs to the internal drywall, carpeting, sills, etc.
So is this the new building, the old building, all of those are?
What the scaffolding is on the other side of the building is a separate problem from the original construction of that building, unrelated to this project.
So this project is related to?
This project is related to, this is the precision windows.
So approximately what percentage is this like small, relatively small matter? Is there a lot of windows?
There's a lot of windows.
A lot of windows.
And so that is approximately $160,000 in retainage that we're withholding until we get a resolution to that problem.
Okay.
Any other questions about my report?
Hearing none, I'll call for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Comments? You've done a great job. There's my comment. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. Moving to,
One question, if I could. When, you know, we have these hyperlinks links over here that you get to the bounce around. You know, I could like push over here and go right to new business, or I can go up to the paper and forth. But when it comes particularly to the consent agenda, what I'm trying to do, because like the minutes are right here at the beginning, I was wondering whoever puts this together, is it difficult to put the little hyperlinks?
No,
Yeah.
that's something that we can do for next.
Okay. Well, actually, you all do it. Maybe I'll show you afterwards. But I think it'd be great if we could use that to like go to the agenda and then get down to each of the different ones. That would be much easier. I found myself going through trying to figure out where things are. That would be really helpful.
thank you, Alan. Patron engagement, Jenny?
All right, also in the interest of brevity, I will say everything's looking good. For next month, I'll also have some annual summaries to give everyone. But otherwise, if you have any questions, I'm happy to. But there's nothing notable to report. Things are people are coming in, checking out the bill. You've been happy.
Good. Are there any questions about patient engagement? Patron engagement? Hearing none, I would take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Call for vote. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. Financial report.
We have the fund report in the packet. Notably, $23 million, about 24 million at the ending balance. We have gotten our fourth quarter funding today. So we have about $6 million in it today.
That's nice. Any questions for Anjanette? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will move for a vote. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. I do not believe there is any unfinished business, so we can move to new business, correct? Skipped anything? Please, who would like to talk about our new vehicle purchase?
So that would be me. Good afternoon. We would like to recommend replacing our current commercial van with a new EV powered vehicle. The current 2015 Ford Transit Work vehicle that we have currently is used by the library for daily branch materials delivery, Monday through Friday. The delivery route covers all 10 branches and is approximately 50 miles. The work van is gasoline driven, has topped 100,000 miles, and the fuel cost is approximately $3,800 per year. At 7 years old, the van is now fully depreciated. The new vehicle, we are expecting dual use, both for branch-to-branch deliveries in the morning and then for library staff to utilize the vehicle for outreach and program activities for the rest of the day and also during the weekend when there is no deliveries. The cargo van will be wrapped with SJCPO logo decals, similar to the decals that have been placed on the current van. The Ford E-Transit vehicle runs off electrically charged battery that gives a targeted range of 126 miles. This meets our daily delivery route and any local events we may have planned during the day. The van will be fully recharged overnight in the library garage. This purchase supports the goal 5 of our strategic plan, which is developing and implementing environmentally sound practices. The current work van would then be used by facilities for road work.
Thank you. Questions?
No, I want to comment though. This is good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to do. I've driven an electric car for 3 years now, and it's exceeded my expectations in every possible way. Dollar equivalent over 100 miles a gallon, which is nice. Maintenance is nothing. All they can do is rotate tires. There's no oil, there's no air filter, there's and they tell me you never replace brakes because the regenerative braking takes the load off the regular brakes. It's just they're good.
Pretty exciting. And when I looked at the cost, it's no more expensive than a van. I mean, this is what vans cost.
And we were lucky to find one in stock on the lot that they are holding for us.
One thing to be aware of that I've discovered most currently, usually we're gone by now. But here I am in this deep freeze. And the range does drop quite a bit.
Oh, in the cold.
When it's cold. So you kind of have to watch for that. I don't think you're going to go far enough to worry about it, but range anxiety goes up just a little bit.
Range anxiety.
So, for what it's worth.
So, do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. Thank you very much. Okay, Karen, are you going to tell us about juvenile book CD?
Yes, this will also be neat.
Okay.
This was proposed by the Collection Development Department, and we discussed it at Library Administration. We think it's a good proposal. We propose eliminating the juvenile book and CD collection system-wide. We had stopped ordering juvenile, we used to call them kits, now it's book and CD titles, 2 years ago due to low availability and the decrease in CD usage. The circulation statistics for this collection are low. The majority of this collection is old and in grubby condition. The current juvenile read-along talking books collection is popular. Moving to talking books is appropriate because companies have shifted their focus from producing CDs into talking books. Removing the CD book collection will provide more shelving space for juvenile read-along items supporting goal on of growing and sustaining readers.
And kids don't have CD players anymore. They don't
That
even know
is
what they
true.
are.
It was
That
funny
is
because
true.
when I said, what are we eliminating? And because I remember having bought these 20, 30 years ago, but yes.
And this is a book CD package, so
Right.
we're not eliminating all of our juvenile books, we're just.
No, that was my exact
I
question.
looked at that first. That's gotta be. That's something.
And
That's what
actually,
they come as a package, if you have a book, you can read along with.
yeah, and we have a more modern where it's there, we call them read-alongs where the sound is on a microchip inside of the book. So
Sure.
that is what is getting used, the CDs not so much.
I appreciate how every presentation you've made, it ties back to the strategic plan.
Thank the boss.
All right, we'll go back to thanking everyone. And thank you, Ruth, for reminding us that that's what we're trying to do. Yes.
Well done.
Well, with that, would you like to motion to approve this?
Absolutely. I move.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have many
John
seconds.
and Ann for the fight again.
Yes. It's a race. Calling for the vote, Alan,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Ruth,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I also approve. Thank you. FLSA status. We think that's Federal Labor Standards Act.
Did I
Kara?
get it right?
Fair Labor
Fair.
Standards Act.
Okay, fair.
It says it right there too.
I know it. Different page. Okay.
So there are a number of positions that qualify for the professional exemption under the Fair Labor Standards Act, LSA. And previously the library was not utilizing their right to classify those positions as exempt. We would like to move forward with classifying them as such, which would make them salaried employees versus hourly employees, non-exempt employees. So they would no longer be eligible for overtime, but they meet every qualification that would allow us to classify them as exempt salaried employees.
And they don't really work overtime right now.
No, they don't. So the one qualification that they are not currently meeting is that they are not paid by salary. They're paid hourly. So we'd like to change that and that they meet everything else. And this would, this is in reference to specifically all positions that require a master's of library and information science or master's in library science. They are professionals. And then as well as any position that is a graphic design, web design position, that their primary duty is that requires them to use their creativity. Those are the positions that are.
I'm surprised we didn't do this much sooner because professional positions should be exempt. Should be.
Exempt from what?
Exempt from overtime.
It makes them a salary
makes them
position
a
instead of an
salary.
hourly position.
Right, but excuse my ignorance. Salaried people often do work overtime.
Right. So the Fair Labor Standards Act is what determines who should be paid hourly and who should be paid overtime after overtime, meaning time and a half after 40 hours work.
Right.
So salaried employees, while they may work over 40 hours, they're paid by the work done versus the time that they're clocking in and out.
But let me just clarify, these are 40-hour week positions.
Right.
That's what they work. That will continue to be the expectations for what they work.
Right.
It is not in any way, shape, or form an attempt to get 45 hours a week out of them.
So what's the benefit of doing that?
It's just to match up with the Fair Labor Standards Act. Did I get it in the right order that time? And to make those professional positions salaried.
So when we apply this January 1 or whatever we do it, how many employees out of the box are we talking about?
It's under 15. I believe it's around 10. I don't know it off the top of my head. I list them out in my mind, but it might take me.
But those MLS,
Who aren't currently
We've only got 10
exempt.
that are masters.
That are not already salaried employees.
right. So there's
because
a
they're
number.
managers.
Yes, there's a number of MLIS in this room.
Right.
We're already salaried. There's a number of branch managers that are MLS.
So it's just the people who are not currently in salaried positions because they're management.
So I'm just curious. So let's assume for the sake of discussion that a person who's got an MLS, she worked 40 hours, somebody that she worked her normal 9 to 5 for 5 days, and then she gets a telephone call, somebody's not coming in, we need you, can you come in on Saturday and work a shift, and we need you to come in as supervisor to be the acting branch, whatever, one of the branches on Saturday. So that person would not get extra money because of that.
Correct.
Right. Okay. But you might try to make it up to.
We might make it up the next week, which we wouldn't be able to do if they were an hourly employee because it's a separate week.
So they may be able to take off Monday if they work Saturday.
Right.
Or Sunday.
So no one here is accustomed to living off overtime, like.
No, absolutely not.
So this is.
We as a practice, absolutely.
Yeah.
We as a practice, it would be irresponsible with taxpayer money to have employees that are living off of overtime and paying time and a half. So that is not our standard practice at all. There have been occasions in which it was absolutely necessary, we had to do it. And anytime someone works over 40 hours, we surely pay overtime. But it's not the standard for anyone in any department.
Okay, that's different from where I've been.
Yep.
And do you anticipate, I mean, when you go to your graphic people and suddenly they find out that if they're, are they gonna be accepted?
Nothing, practically speaking, nothing will change for any of these people.
Right. Actually, the vast majority of them, I think, will be excited and happy, mostly because while they're going to stay to the same hours, it gives them a little more flexibility for how they work things out with programming or outreach. They can go earlier and not have to worry about going to a school or something like that.
They don't have to worry about the punch in, punch out.
They don't have to worry about the punch in, punch out. They don't have
That
to
would
worry
be the
about
big
that.
thing.
Yep.
So do I hear a motion to approve? Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Good report.
We used to tell folks, that's a benefit of salary. You get to work all you want.
Huge. Okay, Alan.
Don't say that until after everyone votes. Terry.
Alan, yes. Okay. Thank you, Alan. Terry.
Aye.
Anne.
Aye.
Ruth.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
And I also approve. Thank you. Friday hours at community branches. Rana?
So currently the library, North Liberty and Lakeville branches are open from 10 to 2 on Fridays. And we would like to shift that from 10 to 2 to 1 to 5 to allow students to come in after school and caregivers to pick up items after school. And the Friday 10 to 2, we were trying to keep it consistent with the Saturday 10 to 2, and Saturday 10 to 2 works out pretty well, but we found that we should probably shift the Friday hours. And I was just looking up which goals this supports. Grow and sustain readers, build a strong community, expand access. Works quite a few of them.
Thank you. And staff has been notified that this was
their recommendation.
Their recommendation.
Oh.
we especially like that.
Based
Thank
on
you.
community impact, because the 1 to 5 isn't better hours for them on a Friday. Like, wouldn't you rather work 10 to 2 than 1 to 5?
Yes.
They're very much wanting to hear the needs of their community, which is, we just want to stop in after school on Friday.
Mhm.
So this would allow for that.
Good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, so I move that we adjust the branch hours for Lakeville, North Liberty, as set forth in this calendar.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions? It does make a lot of sense. Thank you very much. I will call for the vote. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. Thank you. Okay, let's see how short or long we make this one. This is the biggest report. Reservable spaces and special events policy and guidelines. Jenny and Lisa?
Yes, so it's been about a year since we opened the Community Learning Center. So we've gained a lot of perspective in this year. Prior to opening, we had revised all of the guidelines and policies, and actually the special event guidelines are brand new. So this year we got to test it out and see what works and what didn't, and we gained that perspective. So for policy, we have a proposal just to move some content that's pretty essential to the guideline, from the guidelines to the policy, and those include permitted uses and prohibited uses. So in permitted uses, we would state that we do not discriminate through content, we don't endorse demeaning content, and that users must use the rooms according to their stated purpose. And then for prohibited uses, we prohibit political campaigning and fundraising, religious services, and gambling. We also did add a qualification to the qualification section, making 16 and older the age group for study room access. This will allow teens some access to some private space to study where they don't have it. For the reservable space guidelines, we're also proposing that groups are allowed to come in 1 hour before the library actually opens. So we're finding that a lot of the community groups and businesses have very early morning meetings, often starting at 8 a.m. And we do have the staff who are here who can give them access. So we made an update to that. And we also made some updates to the rental fees. We are proposing that we increase the fees. This is due to what we're seeing as far as what it takes to set up and tear down a room. For example, to set up the ballroom space completely in like banquet style in order to accommodate, let's say, a luncheon, it's like an hour and a half and 3 people. So for 3 people, it takes an hour and a half to do the whole room. So just making those observations, we're seeing the need to increase the rental prices to match the labor involved in that. And we're still conscious of keeping those costs lower than what you find elsewhere. Howard Park was kind of the standard we used for comparison, and it's still lower than their prices. For the special event guidelines, we are proposing that nonprofits have one flat rate, whereas for the businesses and individuals, they have Monday through Thursday rate and then a Friday through Sunday rate. The nonprofits, we would like to propose making the Monday and Thursday rates that are for businesses and individuals, making that the rate for the whole week for nonprofits, because they just don't have as much capacity for their events, for their special events. So we want to keep it affordable for them. We also added a table to the guidelines to outline the security, cleaning, and additional hourly charges needed. We want to make those clear. We did not have that table before, and we just wanted to make sure that all fees were clear to anyone using spaces.
Oh, Lisa, I do have a question. It goes back to the main library spaces. It goes from the largest study room is 12 and the smallest classroom is 49. There are groups that never have more than 8 people. And somebody asked me why they could only reserve the study rooms once a week, or they couldn't do it for a whole year at a time or whatever.
Sure. So the study rooms, they do accommodate a bigger variety of people. So the meeting rooms are designed for community groups and nonprofits, whereas the study rooms could be individuals, it could be a group of students who don't identify as a group or part of an organization. So study rooms could be used with greater frequency because of that. They are welcome to use the study rooms. They just don't have as much flexibility in reserving those ahead of time. Whereas the meeting rooms could book 180 days in advance if you'd like to, and schedule just like a recurring meeting.
But study rooms are just 1 week?
7 days.
That is part of that is for equity of access, because one group could book that 12-person meeting room once a week all year long, and no one would ever be able to get that spot. And that the study rooms, and they could always walk in if they didn't have a reservation. If no one's using it, they could still have it.
But we also wanted to keep we have spaces over here in the study rooms that they serve different purposes. So the study rooms are largely for, it could be first come, first serve access, or, someone who needs to come and do some work, like for much smaller groups who are kind of doing that kind of project-based work. Whereas this space is open, I think, a little bit more generally to meetings and community groups. And we do have the meeting room right across the way is a smaller size to accommodate. That's like
one of them.
Yeah, it's pretty small. So that
I'm just thinking of some groups where there's an executive committee of 6 people. It seems I wouldn't want to waste a classroom.
That's exactly what they're
I know.
for. If
Okay.
they're
They can do
available.
that. And especially in the evenings, they probably can find a study room that will take 6 people that they could just walk in.
Okay. All right, thank you, because if I get asked the question, I want to be able to answer it.
Works.
I have,
Other questions?
yeah, I have a question about the political campaigning. Because we just came through an election and I saw some candidates having town halls in the library. And I just wondered, what is the definition of political campaigning?
So what you can have is a public forum.
Yes.
So League of Women Voters can have Republicans and Democrats and do an informational thing, but you cannot come in and have your fundraising political campaign event for just you.
So it's, the definition is fundraising,
Not just fundraising, it's campaigning.
right. And
But when
so,
I think of campaigning,
It's often fundraising.
yes, they pass the same 20
but
bucks
in
around
this
to everyone.
case, the candidate was having a town hall.
Was a candidate? I don't need to cross it. I mean, is the concept, was that a person that was already in office? No.
So that's why we're putting this in here, is because it was not clear before, but that would be prohibited. One individual on their platform. But if you and your opponent wanted to come into a town hall together, we're here for that.
Well, and when I saw that happen, I looked to see if there was any, because I thought there would be.
There
And
should be,
so are
yeah.
you saying that used to not be available, or it used to be in the administrative guidelines, or how did that?
Yeah, the fundraising was outlined, but the campaigning was,
It was a little,
it was
Murky.
murky. We have questions.
so, and then we had a specific instance that came across our desk, and that, and a lot of this year has been Lisa writing down all of these things that were points that we had to evaluate.
Well, that was probably the one that I noticed.
So, and I think, you know, in terms of like Lisa's staff and just really clarifying what is a permitted versus prohibited use, because some of them do get very, you know, granular in terms of, especially if you're just dealing with a reservation that comes through and you're trying to decipher.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not clear. They'll put on their publicity one thing, but what they just said was Stephanie Murphy meeting
Yes.
in the reservations, and we don't see that. I sent emails to all my friends and family that it's a campaign event for myself. So we don't, even if it's in the policy, we might not necessarily catch it.
Ellen?
So if a member of Congress if a member of Congress wanted to do a meeting in the district, or the mayor wants to do a mayor's night out, or a state representative wants to come in and meet with constituents, is that considered okay at the library?
That's not campaigning.
No.
If it were a campaign stump speech, yes, yes.
If
So
they're coming in to do that, that's considered to be okay for them, that. But if it's somebody, right, so that sort of thing that you would do, that's why I was asking about whether.
it does get very, and if
And
we
it
had
might be a question of
questions, we would
timing.
direct it over here. Like, does this fall in this camp or in this camp?
Well, it is timing, and it's also how it's advertised.
Right.
You don't come and hear the candidate
That's
is
different than,
campaigning.
Right.
But talk with Joe, who knows what that is.
Two of the most angry patrons I've ever dealt with amounted to these room runs. And particularly item 1.7.1 availability, co-sponsored activities take priority. And in both of these cases, I kind of felt for the people. They had made plans months ahead, got all their people lined up to come to this meeting, and were preempted a week or two before the event because something had come along, and they were quite unhappy. I can understand why they might be. So I think this language has to be there, but I would just say, I hope that the staff doesn't take it too lightly and just say, oh, well, we're going to have this, so they got to go.
They don't.
But it did happen in a couple of cases. It was clear.
Yeah, to our knowledge, we've never exercised that.
Oh, Yeah, we could talk about it later. Yeah, I remember the incident specifically. Anyway, they got over that best. It was a hot subject.
And that is part of the reason for limiting the time in advance that people can reserve the room. So if we want to use for one book, the auditorium, we make sure that's one that we book out a year in advance. But library events are always going to have the priority, but we do try to schedule them far enough in advance that it doesn't cause a problem for patrons. But you and Jenny can connect.
Yeah. Not our intention.
No, I never thought it was, but it was happened a couple of times, and I didn't really have much of a defense. You know, just sorry.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Vote, Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. Change orders, Bully and Andrews. Stephanie, you were going to speak on this?
So we have 3 change orders. And I suspect that one may have come through before, but I'm not certain because it was a not to exceed. And so the bill came in. That is the Robert Henry Court. Estimated at $9,686 and came in at $7,784. So that's that one. And we have one for Midland Engineering for roofing that happened quite a while ago. I think all of these predate my time here, $4,943. And then one for Mechanical Concepts, piping ductwork controls, $19,000 and change. This should be the last of the change orders.
We'll see. Okay, questions for Stephanie? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also improve. Encumbrances, Anjanette?
Yeah, so these are, here we have encumbrances. These are the items that have, we have begun work, but we need to ensure that we pay them out of, and move dollars over into the 2023 budget, and encumber these items. One is the Wellspring, which is the solar project. We have some fencing, the capital assets project.
Windows and door, it might be the doors.
Windows and doors. So those, the total is $147,000. And we are asking that we can encumber that for the 2023 budget.
And the question that, of course, I thought Terry would ask, but I will ask, and we do have money to cover these things.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We wouldn't bring it to you if we didn't have them.
Not bring it if we didn't.
Right.
Okay. So other questions for Anjanette about encumbrances? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Alan?
Was there a motion?
Oh, did we have a motion?
I don't think you had a motion on the last one either, but.
Okay, let's move back to the last one. Let's motion for the change orders.
Second.
Now I'll call for a vote now that we have a motion and a second. Alan?
Aye.
Terry? Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
I also approve. I'm going to blame the caffeine. Okay. Next, for encumbrances, do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the resolution to encumber operating fund.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also. Okay.
Just say so moved.
Next, we'll move to resolution to transfer funds. Anjanette?
Again, this is probably a normal occurrence. We have some dollars that we need to just transfer the appropriation line to another line to ensure that those are covered within the accounting software and for the appropriations report. So we have several, I'm not going to read through them. It is not, I don't know if I did a total or not, but these are the amounts that we would like to move in between the accounts.
And this is an every year.
This is an every year.
Every
This is
year.
your balance.
I would so move that we make those transfers.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Other questions, comments? Hearing none. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John? And
Aye.
I also approve. Next, we move to our bittersweet resolution honoring board member John Wibbins.
Oh, geez.
I've been to many places where I've heard these whereas things, so it's fun to be the whereaser. St. Joseph County Public Library Board of Trustees resolution in honor of John Wibbins. Whereas John Wibbins has served with distinction on the Board of Trustees of the St. Joseph County Public Library for many years between January 1986 and December 2022. And whereas John Wibbins was elected by his colleagues on the Board of Trustees to presidency 94-95, 08-09, 11 to 13, vice president 06 to 07, secretary 1990, 91, and 93. And whereas St. Joseph County Public Library has been fortunate to have John Wibbins as a dedicated board member who consistently demonstrated his belief in the value and importance of the library to the community. And whereas John Wibbins will be greatly missed by his colleagues on the Board of Trustees and by the many library community members who benefited from his efforts on behalf of the library. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby recognize with great admiration and appreciation the contributions and record of service of John Wibbins to the library and the citizens of St. Joseph County. Presented by the Board of Trustees of St. Joseph County Public Library, read in full and adopted this 19th day of December 2022. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we would like to present this plaque to you.
Wow.
Well, this has been an interesting undertaking. As some of you already know, and some of you do as well, this board came into being as it split off from the school board a number of years ago, 30 or some at this point, in order to have bond control. And that's how we built the library. It's the older version of this one back then. And that was quite an undertaking to go through that closure and rehab and that sort of thing. And I think that was the first step towards where you have all ended up today. And that was in great part due to the vision and leadership of the directors that we've had over all these years. Begun by Don Napoli and carried on by Deb Fuda, and now we have Stephanie that stepped into this role as well. And I surely see that she's going to continue in the same vein that we've had. So this community is very fortunate that we have had the leadership here and the vision, and allowed us to be in the forefront of things that are going on in library services nationwide. We really have been right on the edge of that. And I appreciate this, and it's time, to get some new people, and that's how I think a lot of this happened.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
dedicated service, John.
Thank you.
Need to make a motion to make the resolution official.
Oh, could I have a motion to make the resolution official?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Hearing none. Alan, Terry, Ann, Ruth, John,
Yes, I.
and I also approve. Thank you so much for all you've done. Thank you.
Back in 6 months.
We'll see. We'll see. We
I
have
was
your,
gonna ask if by passing that, does that mean you can't get him back, or does that make it final?
I would have to look at how many years he served because there didn't used to be laws, term limits on boards essentially, and now there are. So I would have to go back and do some math and counting. But we would always want him back.
He served 16-year maximum.
but they weren't
Then
concurrent.
he was off. And then he came back.
What he said.
It's not 16 years.
Oh, okay.
So John, you served 16 years at one point,
So
and you were off for a year or two, or 6
Then
months or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, and then
Not
came
very
back.
long.
Sounds like.
And then you started your second 16 years.
Yeah.
so I still got your number.
We know where to find you. Okay, moving on to other business. The library board meeting dates is just informational. We don't have to vote on it at this point. And they've been looked at and amended to take into account various holidays. For example, we won't meet on Christmas Day next year.
Or Yom Kippur.
Or Yom Kippur, yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's for your information.
So just curious, I noticed that that right now we're anticipating meeting here. But in the past, from time to time, we have gone to the different branches. I don't know if you're thinking that at some point we might venture out there, or is it easier just from a staffing perspective?
If you all are open to it, I would love to move us around a little bit to the other branches.
Well, I would love to see our new solar energy thing at Tut, for example,
Mhm.
whatever it is, when we do something big and different and see our gardens in summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't do it all the time, but if you think it's appropriate, yeah.
I have a brief non sequitur here if I could. Totally off, but it's not.
Okay, this is
Anything
other
bad.
business.
Yeah, this would be other business. Some of you probably saw the public television thing about the St. Joe River.
Yes.
And I think you're probably all aware of, but our board member, Mr. Curtis,
Mhm.
Dr. Curtis, was the co-composer of the musical scores for all of us.
Beautiful.
And was presented some nice honors at the last Southern Symphony, who played this music. And it was really, really, really nice. And I asked him if I could get a signed copy, because I know he's going to be famous. He said, yeah, I can get all you want. So if any of you are interested. Okay,
Who do we tell?
Margaret Curtis.
I thought maybe you were taking orders.
No, yes, 'cause he keeps showing up with them. I've gotten a couple. Giving them to my kids that don't live there anymore. Anyway.
Thank you. Next, are any visitors present who would wish to speak to address the board? Did we get any? No. No. Moving on, no news, but educational items, anything? There were some reports in the packet, weren't there? Yes, so you can look at that. Our next library board meeting date is Monday, January 23rd, 2023. And what's not in here, but will be published, is also our annual meeting, which will follow at 5:15 on January 23rd. And that's where we'll have the new election of officers, our financial meeting, and whatever, et cetera. Okay. With that, I'd be willing to take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I'll call for the vote. Alan?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your very efficient meeting.